Hello everybody, my name is Ratnus, and today I wanted to make a video about catching up a fresh alt in patch 9.1. This is a process that many would argue is more arduous and longer than it needs to be or than it should be, but that's not what this video is about. This is not one of those complainy videos. This is instead a video where we talk about, okay, let's deal with it, right? How are we going to get our alts caught up? So I'm going to go through some things you should be thinking about, and really the most important things with your alts are to kind of identify what stuff you can do on like a weekly lockout that is going to help you gear up fast, what stuff is valuable to do on a daily lockout if you're going to play that character, and what stuff you just kind of have as long as you want to get done, and that you can do anytime you log in that will be useful. So first off, when you first hit 60 on your character, the big thing I would advise is sending yourself some Corthian armaments, which you can purchase on your main character with Stygia, and send yourself a bunch of those and just get yourself a full set of item level 200 gear. You can buy the Corthian armaments from this person, the Death's Advanced Quartermaster, and that will get you set up much more quickly than if you're coming in at item level 140 from questing items. You can further upgrade Corthian armaments items using your cataloged research on your character. I would recommend never doing that. Because that cataloged research is also used for sockets and for conduits, and I would save to use it for those purposes on your character, unless you're in some really weird situation where you care about your character a little bit, but not enough to actually go for those things. Another thing you can do is send yourself some Soul Ash. If you have a character that has 14,000 Soul Ash, you can package up at a rate of, so you lose 50 for every 250 that you send, right? But so you can send, if you try and send your alt, if you spend 6,000 Soul Ash, you can send your alt 5,000, and you need like 5,100 something in order to purchase a 235 legendary, and that can be a good thing to use for the first couple weeks until you get your Soul Cinders to let you get all the way up to 262 on your legendary. Another thing you can do on a fresh alt is buy a crafted gear piece. So if you go to armor, if you just look, you will find a bunch of 230s once you scroll down. And you can wear one of these on each character, and they cost 5,000 gold for the plate on my server, usually about that amount, and that is another good way to advance your character's gearing. You can even look through and find the stats you are most interested in and purchase those. So that is a good way to get an initial hit of gear on your character. If you're really interested in investing, you can even purchase the Mythic BOEs for your character in that slot. That is, of course, better, but also more expensive. And make sure these aren't forever gear as well. Like the bracers, the plate bracers, for instance, overlap with the domination socket slot, so you may not actually want to buy those. Every armor type has one that overlaps with a domination socket and one that doesn't, except for leather, where both are in non-domination socket slots. Okay, so that's the initial gear hit when you hit 60. After that, gearing up is largely, there's a lot of repeatable content. You're going to want to look through your character. What do you need from Mythic Plus is a good question to ask yourself, and sort of identify like, hey, which dungeons am I trying to run, right? So for my character, right, like if I wanted to play arms on this thing, I'd be like, okay, well, it turns out most of what I want from Mythic Plus is a trinket from the other side, right? I'm looking for this overwhelming power crystal. So on this character, I'm looking for the other side keys, right? And just having that info in your head so that you can correctly weight in your head. If somebody in your guild is like, hey, looking for more plus 15 spires, you can be like, all right, I'm gonna do other stuff. But then if somebody's like looking for more plus 15 to the other side, you're like, get me in there. Prepare to be amazed by the power of my alt as I come and try and get this trinket. So that's a good thing to do a quick survey of. The way to do this isn't necessarily looking through the adventure guide, but is to look at like stats of who is using what in the content you're looking at. A great source for this is the site Subcreation. So if you're looking at like for M+, you go to mplus.subcreation.net. There's also raid.subcreation.net, and you can just click through to your spec, and it will show you the most commonly used stuff in all the slots, which will include trinkets if you keep scrolling down. And you can see here, for instance, looks like everybody's using this overwhelming power crystal, right? That's the one that is most used, presumably for a good reason. So you can do this to quickly check through and see if there's Mythic Plus farmable items for your character that you're going to want to start trying to collect. Okay, so Other than that, for gearing, the big thing to do to gear your character, ideally, is to get a weekly vault. So rather than try and do all of your gearing in 1 week after you've completed all the other grinds, what you really want to do is get started on getting weekly vaults now, so that in a couple weeks, when you've started getting progress towards your other stuff, you already have some nice items. Of course, the more vault slots you can fill, the better. Raid vault slots are extremely valuable if you can get your hands on them, but not everybody can do that, especially on a fresh character. Getting the item level 200 gear from, getting all the easy higher item level gear will help you get invited to that kind of stuff. But even still, getting into like a heroic clear at low item level is often something that will rely on the mercy of your friends rather than on being able to get invited through Group Finder. So good luck if that's something you're trying to do. But many people, it's going to not be possible until later. But getting 1 Mythic Plus slot is much more accessible. So earning your first Mythic Plus slot is a valuable thing to try and go for. More Mythic Plus slots is better because, there's a good shot this patch in particular, you're going to find something in your vault that really does not have a long-term home on your character's gear. If it's in like a Shard of Domination slot and you are planning to ever get Shard gear, then of course that's a pretty wasted Great Vault. But it's still the easiest one by far, of course, is that 1 Mythic Plus slot to fill. Other weekly stuff that you should get started on: Shards of Domination, of course. Killing the world boss in the Maw for your character is a very valuable thing to do. That gives you Renown, and it also can drop the Shard of Rev. So until you have your Shard of Rev, definitely make sure you're killing that thing every week. That's the Leech one. Where's that thing? This thing, Leech. Leech increased by 30. But you want to do that because the other way that you can get your shards is Sylve. So Sylve isn't open yet on LFR, but Sylve drops, at least on normal, heroic, and mythic, a guaranteed shard every time you kill her. And my suspicion is it will function that way in LFR as well. Have to wait to be sure, but it's opening soon on LFR. And so another good thing to do on your alts once that is available is kill Sylve once per week and just collect your free shard from her. There's other stuff that's valuable from doing the raid as well, namely the Stygian Embers to upgrade your shards, but you don't really get many of those from LFR. So it's not... I would say that by far the best thing you can do from the LFR is just the Reckoning, and then if you really want, you can go do the others as well. Stygian Embers also come from the Shaping Fate Korthia Weekly, which you should be doing. You only get 10 from that, but hey, it adds up. And other valuable weekly stuff is the Tormentors of Torghast event up in the Maw. That gives you Soul Cinders and some Korthia rep. And the Assaults, only giving you Soul Cinders, really, but still, you're going to need that for your Legendary, in theory. You could forgo those. If you hate the Assaults, you just be like, you know what, I'm not going to do the Assaults. I will get my Legendary in 6 weeks rather than in 4, and I will just do it through Torghast. Or vice versa, you could be like, you know what, I hate Torghast. I'm just going to do the Assaults and Tormentors Torghast, and I'll get my Legendary that way instead. All right, what else do I have on my list here? That is most of the stuff that you can be doing. The other thing to be thinking about is your Renown grind. So the Renown grind, you're going to need to do your Covenant campaign, right? So like your Night Fae campaign in my case, and the Chains of Domination campaign. So the way the Renown grind works is there's a lot of easy to get Renown from, you'll just get it from doing bosses, from doing Torghast, from doing the world boss, which, hey, you can, if you want Renown, go do the other world boss as well, just the old Shadowlands one in whatever Shadowlands zone is up as well. It's a free, easy hit of Renown. You can get it from Callings as well, but you can never catch all the way up from those sources of Renown. You always need to do the Night Fae campaign, or whatever Covenant you are, and the Chains of Domination campaign. Those Renown points will never be earnable through the other sources, right? So once you have caught up to, the cap minus whatever number come from those sources, you will have to do them in order to cap. Unless there's some weird ways around that exist once we actually get once that cap gets all the way up to 80, but they're slow and stupid and dumb. So don't worry too much about that. The main thing is, keep earning your Renown. You can always mouse over this and it will tell you if Renown is available from either progressing your campaign, or if like my character, I think I can still get one more from Dungeons, PvP, Callings, and raid bosses before it only becomes the 4 from the Chains campaign that I don't have, that I will need to do. So that is the source for Renown. Again, your best way, if you want to get geared quickly on Renown, the best things to do are Torghast speedruns. If you're watching this week, Comp Stomp's still available. You can get your Renown from that, but once that is... If this video is more than a couple days old, that's not coming back until November. But just doing whatever you would do, whatever content you would do normally has a good shot of giving Renown. So that will work out nicely for you as well. It seems like it's not that much lower rate of Renown at high Renown, like at Renown 50, than it is at Renown 1. So like last season, the best way to do Renown farming was to make sure you saved your campaign for the end of the grind rather than the start, because it was guaranteed Renown. This time around, I think that's much less important. I would say just do your campaign whenever you can stomach it, and don't worry too much about doing it too early. Just get it done, and it's something you don't have to worry about, and it shouldn't impede your Renown progression to have gotten those guaranteed Renowns early rather than late. Another thing you're going to need to do on your character, of course, is collect your legendary power that you need. Now, for some of you, that is going to be annoying because it's going to be a Castle Nathria legendary. So if that is you, then you are going to want to queue up for Castle Nathria LFR and go get that done. So enjoy. And then, yeah, the other stuff beyond that is really just, clearing the raid. As soon as you can on your character, you're going to want to start doing a heroic full clear if you can. That's going to be much more important for alt gearing this tier than it was last tier, because that is the only source of the shards and of the embers and of the good high item level domination socket pieces. So this tier, unlike last tier, even a character, if I was playing an alt and I was planning to mostly Mythic Plus on it, last year, I didn't really need to do Castle Nathria, right? Like, you're missing out on a couple item levels on your best pieces. No big deal. This tier, it is a much bigger deal, right? You're missing out on several percentage points of DPS and survivability by not having your shards. So, yeah, look to try and find the heroic clear to get into. Even if it doesn't do all the bosses, right? Even if it falls apart on Painsmith or Fate Scribe or whatever boss ends up being hard for your pug, it is still much better than not doing it. Because getting those raid weekly vault slots, getting those embers, getting those shards is really, really, really valuable. Ooh, I'm going to go get this nest while it's up. And then, yeah, once you're done with that... Oh my goodness, I'm alive. I cannot believe I'm alive. Oh, okay. I shouldn't be alive. Anyways, once you're done doing that, not too much to do except for if you want to do Korthia for research. So the reason to do Korthia stuff is research gives you sockets and gives you conduits. And that is, good. The sockets in particular are good. You don't need too much research to socket all your gear, right? You need 20,000, 25,000, depending on which armor type you are and how many socket slots you actually have versus how many are overwritten by domination sockets being in those slots. The most easy way to get the research, even if it's a little slower long-term, but the fastest in terms of efficiency, is just go and check each daily and see what they reward. This one is rewarding Death's Advanced Commendation. Don't care. Not going to accept that quest. This one is rewarding... there's two of them. And one of them is Korthian Cipher Books. Okay, so I'll accept that quest. And this one is rewarding Death's Advanced Commendation. Again, don't care about Death's Advanced Rep. That is much less important. And then there's one more up at the top. And so you can just do the ones that give you the research and go and make sure you get those done. Now, little caveat there, Death's Advanced Rep is actually somewhat valuable if you do care about your character, as much as possible, because you can buy a 220 domination socket piece from the Death's Advanced vendor once you are honored, which I think I already purchased on this character, so that's why it's not showing up here. Where's the thing? Yeah, this thing, Gauntlets of Death's Guardian, 220 domination socketed gloves for plate. I think if I were to sell that, it would show back up here. Yeah, okay, there it is. Gauntlets of Death's Guardian. So you could pick that up if you get to Honored. So that could be a reason to do the dailies that give Death's Advanced Rep. But really, long term, that's not going to be a part of your gear set, so it's not something to worry about too much. And yeah, just focusing on whatever one gives the research. And then, if you have extra time each day, you can do Korthia rares and stuff. Probably a better use of your time is just M+ for, for gear. You can upgrade with Valor, for all that stuff. PvP. If your character is going to PvP or if you can PvP, of course, there's some gear that you can pick up from that as well. Some pretty good gear. It's less important this tier than it was last tier because it's lower item level, but it's still good. It's still good for alts. So yeah, just picking whichever of those is going to be good for you and trying to get it done on your alt. Problem with it is that, you want to start doing all that stuff early, but your character feels so bad early with like no shards in and all this stuff. And so, you know, in order to make progress on a lot of these systems, you actually have to just go and start doing them while your character is a complete potato. But that is how it is. That's my guide for, you know, catching up an alt in patch 9.1. It's not the greatest experience, I would say, but you know, alts are still fun and still can be worth doing. I fervently hope that they will look at this system and address some of the pain points, which are the length of the grind, the fact that so many of these grinds just require you to do the exact thing in there, and don't really have a system that like lets you, you know, eventually get everything by just doing M+. And I would look at systems like the Echoes of Nyalotha that they implemented towards the end of BFA. I would actually hold those up as a pretty good way to handle alt stuff, where there's just like a currency that you can get from doing anything, and you could use it, say you could use it to buy shards and Stygian Embers and Soul Cinders and, you know, all these disparate currencies that you would need to go and grab. I think it would be a lot better on alts in particular if you didn't have to, you know, go and do Castle Nathria LFR and Sanctum Heroic and Torghast and Korthia Dailies and Mythic Plus, right, on all your characters, and you could instead focus on whichever one or two of those you actually had the most fun in and be like, yeah, you know what, this will gear me up slower, but it will still make me progress towards all these things that I care about making progress towards. And right now the system does not accomplish that, so instead that thought process you want to do is you want to just kind of list out all the things you want to do, identify which of them are weekly, get those done every week, and then whenever you have spare time, do all the other stuff that is on your list, and your character can be ready in a couple of years' time, just in time for the next patch. Hope you enjoyed this video. Come check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Ratnos. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.